Good, thank you. Welcome, everybody, to the September 29th meeting of Community Safety Advisory Subcommittee. This is our public session. We are here in Committee Room 1 at City Hall. We do have some issues with the YouTube live stream, so this meeting will be recorded and then posted as the meeting record shortly thereafter when we're finished. So calling this meeting to order, we have quorum. Debbie Douglas, Uba Farah, and myself, Paula Fletcher's chair. Welcome everyone to the meeting. I'd just like to begin with a land acknowledgement that the land of us that we are on is the traditional territory of many nations, the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, Wendat peoples, and home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. And we are covered here in Toronto by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. And today is a very special day, as it is Orange Shirt Day, as it's called, which is September 29th recognition of residential schools in the country and here in the city, and the impact on families, the number of children, and the number of children that were left behind from their communities in these schools. And there's a very big event on Nathan Phillips Square, and anybody listening, encourage you to go to the square and be part of this significant recognition of today. During today's public meeting, the Violence Reduction Program update for Q1 and 2, 2023 will be brought forward for our committee. We are in a hybrid meeting. Those are online and here. We'll vote by a show of hands. And public can depute online or in person. We do have one deputation, and we'll be hearing that shortly. I believe it's on item number 6, Violence Reduction Program, Q1, Q2, 3. Conflict of interest, I have to ask if either of you two members have a conflict, or myself. Anybody got a conflict of interest on anything on this agenda? No. Seeing none. None are declared. Thank you very much. So here is the agenda that we have today. I would be looking for the confirmation, the approval of the agenda. Just going to assume we're approving that. Move it and approve it. The confirmation of the public meeting minutes of March 8th, 2023. Can I have a mover for that, please? Debbie? Thank you. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Number 4, the business arising from the public meeting minutes and action update items. Is there anything anybody wishes to ask a question about on this list? If not, Uba, can I have a motion to receive this for information, please? Moved by Uba Farah. All in favor? Thank you very much. Moving to item number 6, Violence Reduction Program Update, Q1, Q2, 2023. We're going to be hearing having a report from staff, but before that, I will call on our deputant. I believe Mr. Miguel Avila is here to make a deputation this morning. Mr. Avila, would you like to come forward and do that? Thank you. I think you know you have 5 minutes. Thank you very much.
Is it time running? Okay. So I'm here bringing, my deputation already has been circulated among you members. This is regarding a petition with regards to third-party security. As you probably are aware, 220 Oak Street is one of those buildings that has a huge profile in relation to crimes, noise violations, bylaws, noise violations, and other things happen, e-bike thefts. So before you guys understand my petition, I want to understand the process of when you submit a petition to a board, to an official at TCHC, what happens to it? Should we expect a reply back? Because we submitted one in July the 4th, the day I got, my awful time with CSU. We haven't received no response to that petition of 35 residents. So far for this petition with the third-party security, I have 20 and counting, and I will get to a maximum of 400. It is my goal to get there so that you guys can understand how important it is for us to have consistent third-party security in the building, because our experience calling CSU, I'm going to put this on the overhead. Is it working? My friend, is it working today? I don't know. Is it working? Can you see the overhead? Can you hold my time, Chair, please? I guess we're having technical
I'll
difficulties.
hold your time and I'll arrange to have that overhead put on. Thank you.
Oh, happy, it's not a happy day, but
There you
it's a
go.
very
Thank you.
reconciliation.
You're back on
All
time.
right, so I want to make a suggestion to you guys is if you incorporate all this information, maybe you should have opportunity to educate the tenants about the model that Toronto Police use for reporting a crime. And also I want to see if possible to add on a line that says, if you need to call CSU to deal with bylaw, noise violations, why don't we skip that part and we just go straight to call municipal license and standards? I was part of a consultation. It happened at Metro Hall about 2 weeks ago. And I found out that municipal license standards officers work until 3 a.m. and then there's a service gap. I recommended the committee to increase the budget, so perhaps we can have money divested from the Toronto Police Services, because I believe it or not, Chair Morgan agrees that we should have more police civilians doing paid duty, such as watching potholes, which is not a policing thing. You know, watching potholes, construction, your day off. Come on. Anyway, so that's a different topic of discussion. I'm going to put it up there, the petition letter, so you're aware, you know, that this is what the wishes of my community building committee wishes to have. And maybe you guys, when you receive my petition, can, you know, kindly reply to us. We're 5 members of this community building committee. And if possible today, can I have an answer to the petition with regards to the bylaw of noise violation signed by 35 residents? They expect some kind of response. I hear no, I guess, but maybe Councilor Fletcher can ask those questions from on the behalf of residents of TCHC. So this is the model, you know, as I was mentioning to you guys. In the previous flyer, it says call the CSU for any issues, you know, but we have to be straight and honest, you know. There are things that right now are being reported online. Like in my case, when my 2 e-bikes got stolen in 2022, CSU officer did not come to investigate at all, did not come to investigate a breaking into one of your own properties, lockers. It's not just something that was left outside in the open. Anyway, and in conclusion, I want to say that repeating the words of our mayor, Olivia Chow, today was talking about reconciliation, how to make true friendship with indigenous people. I don't think there's merit on the charges I have been given by CSU, and I hope you guys can understand that part. If you really mean truth and reconciliation, you should drop those charges against me. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Sorry. Thank you.
Any questions? I'm here 24 hours.
Yes, thank you for that deputation. Any questions? No, thank you. I'll leave that question about petitions, but petitions generally just get filed, whether it's at city council, committee, or anything else. They're not normally replied to. But I'll leave that up to Mr. Hunter, our CEO. Thank you very much. Moving on then to the report. Item 6, I think we're going to have a verbal update. Is that correct? Oh, thank you, Tara. I have my tea, but. Yes, if you're here, then you'll be recorded, well, recorded. Is there a third chair there? Yes, there is. There should be.
Yes, good morning, Chair Fletcher and members of CSAC. The report is in regards to the violence reduction update for Q1 and Q2 of 2023. Our SEMA will be presenting the programs and partnership aspect, and Ms. Mona Patoni from CSU, our senior manager in the corporate side, will be presenting the CSU part. Mona?
Start with CSU. Thank you.
Yeah, good morning. Is this on? So if you look through the report, you'll notice, I'll just get to summarize it. So you'll notice that in Q1 and Q2, we saw an increase in calls for service when we compare the same time last year. So by 364 calls in Q1 and 157 calls in Q2. And the Q1 is due to the rise in calls related to trespass of property, parking, neighborhood disputes, and cause disturbance. And in Q2, the rise was due to an increase in calls for parking, check welfare, theft, and cause disturbance. So the CSU VRP team is closely monitoring these trends and working with the community partners to address the underlying issues and reduce the need for Toronto Police involvement and intervention. The crimes against persons, so the summary there is that in both Q1 and Q2, there was also an increase in crimes against persons when compared to the same time last year. We saw 15 incidents more in Q1 and 43 more in Q2. In Q1, the rise was due to the reported assaults and sexual assaults, but there was a decrease in assault with weapon. We did see a decrease in serious violent incidents from 29 to 26, which represents an 11% decrease. In Q2, the increase is due to the rise in reported assaults, assaults with weapons, sexual assaults. There was a decrease in discharged firearm by 2 incidents, which was good. So for crimes against property, in both Q1 and Q2, again, we saw an increase in the crimes against property when we compare to the same time last year. In Q1, the increase was by 29 incidents, and in 51 incidents in Q2. So the Q1 increase is due to the rise in reported mischiefs, thefts, break-in enters, and in Q2 was rise in reported thefts and mischiefs. The increases in crimes against persons and property this year compared to last year could be attributed to greater number of people out and about after the pandemic, which has led to an increase in the criminal activity. So that's what we're attributing to. And also, I know that we were supposed to report back on the shooting incidents in VRP communities because we're working on providing accurate data, but unfortunately we don't have that information. We will hopefully have it in Q1 2024. The issue is that there's the operational demands at Toronto Police, and they have been unable to continue to allocate resources to this effort. City staff have been following up to move forward on this initiative, but we're just waiting to hear back. So once we do resume, then we aim to continue to collaborate with Toronto Police and reconcile all the addresses to come up with more accurate shooting data.
And Chair Fletcher and members of CSAC, if I can just add on, there was a meeting held with senior management with Toronto Police this week, and we did raise this issue in regards to streamlining the data. So we are going to be working at it moving forward and at a higher level and try to make sure we're reporting the appropriate data. Again, the data we report and always has or have reported has been the data collected by CSU specifically. That data is internal data. That's not the data that's reported to Stats Canada for purposes of the tracking that's done by Toronto Police. So we want to ensure that all the data presented is the most accurate for the issues that are occurring on our property.
Thank you. I'm sure you'll have some questions for that. Shall we just hear everything and then go to the questions? So, Ms. Bahane, thank you.
Good morning. Through the chair, in terms of the programs and partnerships aspect of the VRP work, really the focus has just been to integrate the staff. As you heard us speaking in March, that we were centralizing that staffing group. And so we brought them over in April 2023 and really just focused on getting them integrated both with CSU as well as the other members of programs and partnerships so that we can better coordinate our services and really deploy, whether it's active living or community economic development resources into these communities that the data has shown is where the focus needs to be. And so that's been our work over Q1, Q2. And I think I've started to see some of the progress there in terms of better collaboration, better coordination among the staffing, both internally and with our partners at the city, TPS, school boards, et cetera. And so that's really all I wanted to share with you this morning.
Thank you. Any members have any questions or comments?
Yes, if I may, Stevie. I was a bit concerned around about all of the increases in crimes, and glad to see that small blip in some areas in terms of weapons and those kinds of things that decrease. But where are we seeing a concentration of the sexual assault cases in one particular area of the city?
Through the chair, Director Douglas, we are not. Many of the sexual assaults that were reported that CSU are aware of occurred in units with known offenders, and they were spread out throughout the city. There was no concentration, and it was not unknown offenders.
I see. What's the response of TCHC when sexual assaults happen? Do we send out a support team for the victim or survivor?
From a CSU standpoint, and then I'll turn it over to Arsema for the follow-up on the after the reporting of the incident. Once CSU is aware of the matter being categorized as a sexual assault, our team immediately contacts Toronto Police, and they send out trained investigators, and we then take a role of assisting and providing any information. This is solely the Toronto Police mandate, as they have highly trained, skilled professionals to investigate these matters. And on the back end, Arsema, I don't turn it over to you.
I think typically with consent, tenant access and support staff would engage with the individual or the family to assess what kind of supports that they would need and make the relevant referrals.
What are some of the services you've been referring to? This goes back to an earlier conversation we were having in terms of the kinds of community supports we need in our various TCHC communities.
So through the chair, Director Douglas, I don't know that we would have the exact organizations and agencies available to answer your question, but I think we can
I'm talking about the types of organization. Do you refer them to your crisis centers? Do you refer them to community counseling, that kind of thing, not the specific agency?
Yeah, so typically we would work with third-party social service organizations, including crisis centers, and any kind of organization that we have a relationship with at a local level. So again, the access and support CSCs or our community service coordinators actually work in the communities. And so they would be aware of both the local health centers and crisis centers available to support.
Because we've seen this rise in number, is there a reinvigoration of the team to reach out to ensure that we have relationships with these services across the city?
So through the chair,
I'm sorry, Nadia, just to get some context, I'm trying to understand how these reports and these numbers drive our service planning is what I'm trying to determine. Or are you just giving, or do we just have these numbers and nothing changes?
so through the chair, to answer your question, we would deal with them on a case-by-case basis. I don't think it's actually been driving some of the strategy around the work, and that's part of the gap that we'll need to address with the categorization work. So noted as sort of a gap in the system. I know we do it on a case-by-case basis, but I don't think that information is driving sort of the focus of programs and partnerships, and that needs to be part of the areas of work that we look at.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the honesty.
Uba, do you have any comments or questions? So I don't think.
No, I don't have any question. It's just a comment.
Okay.
That I was just looking at the differences. No, I don't have question. Thanks for the report.
Thank you. You, and it's kind of related back to the earlier discussion, and even while we're waiting for the review, the CSU review, some of the conversation we're having about community development versus CSU, or what that looks like with the CSU, I'm a little concerned that when we're talking about the gun violence, that we can't get information because you're waiting for all the statistics from the police. But I think if we ask the general managers and the assistant general managers and the superintendents, they certainly know what's going on in those communities. So again, I'm saying we shouldn't always rely on that kind of information because we actually have the information. And when we first started, and Tom, you weren't here, when we first started with the categorization, it was all run on a computer. And after 8 months, it went down to actually have conversations on the ground about, do these fit? Is this really a community with gun violence? Is this not? Why is the Northwest not included on these lists? So I'm just going to go back to that here because I can't understand. They don't work for us, the Toronto Police. You can watch in the TPS operations. They've got, here's what's happened here, here's what's happened here. That's a secondary because they always print that out. I'm watching River and Gerard, all these different places. Those are our sites. But really and truly, the information, it could come, and I can't see why we can't have that kind of information. It also fits in with the 4s and the 3s, or particularly the 4s and the 2s as to what's really happening. And I would think that just in terms of knowing what's going on and an approach, that we should simply do that. And if the police ever send it to us, that's fine, but we shouldn't be waiting on that because they haven't sent it. So let's use our own resources. I just also want to note, just in the conversation that we had earlier around just the nature of who's doing what regarding the community. So when I'm looking at attachment 1 and item 6, I'm looking at all kinds of things that are in the VRP community, and I think technically are under the CSU. Would I be right? This is your report from the CSU on.
So
Sorry, what is it?
through the chair, attachment 1 outlines the activities. So that's on page 23 of the package.
Right.
Outlines the activities led by the programs and partnerships team.
So it's not led through the CSU?
Not that element of the work, no.
Not this element of the work. Okay, fine. Thank you. So these are larger VRP issues. Thank you for that clarification. And then I'm just going back to the 600 turkeys. I'm unclear how those get delivered. So it looks like, is the CSU delivering a big donation of turkeys? Does the CSU deliver the baskets for Christmas? Who delivers those? And what's the reasoning there?
Yes, Chair. In the situation with the turkeys were donated to business member contacted one of our community safety advisors. The community safety advisor immediately contacted the appropriate units within Toronto Community Housing, and a list was then developed of people in need for turkeys, and the representatives from the organization, including a couple of CSU special constables, but predominantly the community safety advisors with other areas of the organization, attended the locations to distribute the turkeys. They were very well received, and many people were able to enjoy the holiday season because of the generous donation of a business member.
No, I understand that. Turkeys are very popular at Christmas. I'm just looking into how things, and has that traditionally been what the CSU has done, delivered turkeys, delivered gift cards? Has that been the traditional role?
Chair, as I stated, it was predominantly the community safety advisors who are engaged in the community for safety initiatives, who have great relationships with the community. A couple of CSU, if it was a VRP community, the assigned VRP special consuls would have attended. But again, predominantly it was the community safety advisors who work under the umbrella of the community safety unit that were distributing them. And when the donations have been made over the last couple of years, yes, the community safety advisors have been the people coordinating those initiatives.
So just, I'm sorry, I don't know the inner workings, but the community safety advisors are part of the CSU.
The community, Chair, the community safety advisors are highly trained individuals in the, that conduct the audits in the buildings, and they do the safety work after a crime would have occurred. They're the ones immediately at the scene, working with the families. But the community safety advisors are non-sworn members of the
Yes,
community safety unit.
They're the part of the CSU.
That is
They're
correct.
not part of the community safety group. So that's just interesting. And I think that's something that we're looking at. I'm just looking at where everything's placed, actually, from a community development point of view. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Yeah, from my point of view, that's a question mark. And then all these referrals, I'm not sure who's made all the referrals, but it's one thing for a referral. It's another thing for a follow-up. So I just keep drilling back down to a community development model. And I'm not sure we have had that. I'm looking at the models that we've had in the past, and if we've moved away from that in any significant way. There used to be social workers when I first started, and that was their job, make referrals. So we have a model that we're reviewing, but at the time of we're reviewing, I think it's fine. I don't want to wait for the review. I also want to raise these questions, which we've actually been raising since we started the committee, I believe. Debbie, you just said something. Did you want to?
I was just agreeing with you. I think that's where all of our questions are coming from. It's, that community safety for community development. Most of them it is about.
I agree with you as well. And I think we talked about this in the past many times. So it's not going to be only enforcement. So it will be coming from community development. So we are fully meeting the needs of the tenants.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with both of you.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions? If not, thank you very much for presentation. You can see there's active interest in this issue, actively. Don't think, Tom, you've been at one of these. We have active interest, as you're noting. Thank you. What's that? Is your first one? Well, welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here today. Okay, where's my, so there we go. Can I have a motion to receive item 6, please?
I'll move. Debbie.
Moved. Anybody? Debbie moved. All in favor? Thank you. That's carried. Are there any additional items to the meeting agenda that you have come upon during this time? Uba? Debbie?
No.
No? All right, thank you. Then can I please have a motion to terminate this public meeting? Motion to adjourn the meeting? Uba? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. And thank you very much to everybody for your work on this and being here today. And we'll see you shortly at
Have a wonderful day.
meetings.
Thank you.
Hopefully in person.
Hopefully in person.